So my first question is, have you tried any sort of lifestyle modifications or healthy living dietary programs before?
Yes, I did. I want to say in 2010 into 11, I decided to go a Nutrisystem path.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that for about 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I lost, I don't know, maybe, I want to say 80 pounds.
Okay. All right.
And then life happened, and, and it just didn't hold. And looking back on it, I know more now than I did then. So I can kind of pinpoint more about what didn't work and why it didn't take.
Sure.
But
what do you mean by that? What do you give me an example, I guess.
Well, I guess for me, it was, I was eating their food, and I supplemented with additional things, but I was not cooking for myself. I was not figuring those types of things out. And at some point, I got tired of eating what they had available.
Sure.
And it was just easy to start sliding off. And so that just it ended up putting the kibosh to it. And then I ended up having some other stuff that went on, and I just slid back into it and gained it all back. It was a disappointing thing because I'd really worked hard, but it just didn't stay with me. And
sure.
So,
well, what would you say? How is the Natural Fit program different? I guess, as far as like what you've learned or what you've experienced that you can, take with you.
I guess for me, it's been about figuring out what's appropriate to eat, what works for me, kind of listening to what my body says about what it's taking in. Before, I guess I never paid any attention. You just eat whatever you feel like eating. And as often as you feel like eating it, and you don't realize how badly you feel until you take it all away and start learning how to eat again. And so when I changed that, I started listening better to what my body said if something showed up in it that shouldn't be there. And I feel it, and it takes me a while to get rid of it. And so I was able to figure those things out. And because of that, I wasn't willing really to put them back in as quickly or readily, because I know how poorly I feel when I do it. And so I learned how to cook for myself, and I learned how to change things and take a recipe that I see and look at it and know that there's some things in there that may not be the best for me and how I feel when I eat them. So I learned how to substitute or change things. And, and you and I, we've been, had that conversation. I start making my own ketchup and, things like that, just so that I can have some of the things that I want, but it's different.
Right. Yeah, I gotcha. How did you hear about the Natural Fit program?
Oh, goodness. I want to say it was through friends that had talked about having been down to see you and start working on that a little bit. And for me, I kind of listened to it, and I don't know how I felt about it per se. I don't know that when I came down to meet with you, I mean, if I'm perfectly honest in this conversation, I would say that when I came, I felt defeated in the conversation before I even committed to trying it, because I just felt like I don't know that I have the discipline to do this. I don't know that I'm going to be able to stay the course with this. It sounds great in theory, but I just don't know that I have it in me to do it. And so I committed to doing it that day when I met with you, but I don't know that I held out a lot of hope that it was going to be something that was going to work for me.
Sure.
And I apologize. My cat woke up from her nap, so she's talking to me.
So then once you started in with the program, at what point did you start getting more confident and realizing that, this was very doable?
I want to say for me, it was probably 2.5 weeks in. I can almost pinpoint it. I had started this, and I was kind of trying to get my feet under me, figure out what's this look like? How's this work? How do I figure food? How do I prepare? Because there's a lot involved in that. Just the preparation aspect of it is big. And I was figuring it out and trying to get to that point where I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can do this. And then I was at work one day. We were having a staff meeting and we had a break. And at the break, I was headed to the restroom, and as I was walking, I noticed that like my knees didn't hurt. And it was the first time that I hadn't walked without, that type of, and I thought, gosh, wow. I mean, it was shocking to me because I'm so accustomed to like everything hurt. My joints all hurt. My hands hurt, my wrists hurt, my shoulders, my hips, my knees, everything just ached all the time. And to walk across, from like one room towards a bathroom and to have that lack of hurt happening the way it had been, it was huge for me. And I think that at that point, that's where my commitment really, really kicked in, is simply because for me, I didn't do this to lose weight. I did this because I desperately needed to just feel better. And so I think that that's what was big for me. It's just like, oh my gosh, I feel better.
Yeah,
and so at that point, I was like, well, if this is what, if I can feel better by changing this, I can stick to this. I mean, I really can do this. And I just really had a laser-like focus. I aside from my schooling and my job, and being focused, I don't think I've ever really been as focused in anything as I have been in this process for myself for the last year.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Then before you came in, could you explain a little bit about maybe like a little bit of your health history, your starting weight, what kind of like your life was like, just the struggle, I guess, if you kind of.
Yeah, it was a struggle. I've told people that I feel like I was trapped in my body for a long time. I don't know what it, honestly, the weight that I am right now, I weighed more than this when I went to high school from junior high. I don't know what it's like to kind of be here. I was more than 300 pounds the day I graduated from high school and moved to New York to go to college. And it's just, I've always been overweight. I don't know what it's like to not be there. And it's impacted everything. It impacts what you do. It impacts where you go. It impacts, how you can interact with your friends or the things that you can do with them. And it just everything about it. And so for me, this is just, it's very much of a new experience. To feel compelled, really, like I feel compelled to walk, to take walks, to move around now, where I was very content to be exceedingly sedentary. Well, when everything hurts, why would you do it? You do something and you pay for it, you hurt. And so you just don't
do anything. Yeah.
No, you really don't. And so for me now, so now, fast forward, I am so thankful every moment, I have to be honest, that timing ended up being what it was, and that I had put in a year's worth of this work prior to this, COVID-19 happening, because I'm now blessed to be working from home, but I'm home and it's, you don't move, I'm working from my kitchen table. And prior to having done this, I probably would have just sat, literally sat, and I would have eaten and while I was working and while I wasn't working and, all of those things and not moved. And now I committed to 2 walks a day. I do what I refer to as walk and talks so that I call friends every time I take a walk, or I try to, every time I take a walk, I touch base with people. And I've been averaging about 20 miles a week since I've been here at home. And that's even with a few, obviously there are some days that walks just don't happen. Weather, I just keep hoping for better weather because I want to really be able to do them every single day. And the people in my world have heard me complain that I really want a bicycle I mean, I haven't ridden a bike since I was in high school, and you stop riding the bike as soon as you get a driver's license because, your bike was your transportation. And once you have a car, why would you ride one of those? But I've been saying I want a bike, and so thinking about, being able to do something like that, that's really foreign to me as well.
What about, did you have any like comorbid conditions, diabetes, high blood pressure? Were you on any medications or anything like that?
No. But, I'm going to make that statement with a caveat that I didn't go to doctors either. So doctors and I have never been friends. I've always felt like going to the doctor just became one of those things of, regardless of what might have been wrong, it was always going to be blamed on my weight. And, but I never felt like, it was always, well, you need to lose weight, but never really a really good idea for how that was supposed to happen.
They don't give you an answer.
Support for how I was supposed to do that.
Right, right.
I was just supposed to lose weight, And so when you have those constant conversations, I just personally reached the point where I just said, I just don't need to go see a doctor. Now, obviously that doesn't help me or my situation, but I just stopped going. So
Sure.
I mean, if I was sick, sinus infection, whatever, then I'd go to a doctor. But aside from that, I didn't go to doctors. But to the best of my knowledge, no, I did not have any issues going on at the time that I started this. I didn't have any blood sugar issues or anything like that. I do have a history of that in my family. Both my mother and her brother were diagnosed as being diabetic a little later in life. So that was a very real thing. But I didn't go to doctors. So,
what was your starting weight?
Oh, you're gonna make me say that, huh? My starting weight was 411 pounds.
Okay, and where are you at currently today?
Today, I weighed myself this morning. I'm at 231, so I'm at exactly 180 pounds less.
Okay, and within 1 year, how much weight did you lose?
Within 1 year, it was 170 pounds. And my 1 year was at the end of January 28th was 1 year for me. So, I mean, you could do the math from January 28th till now, which is April 10th, I've lost 10 pounds. So, I think a little focus has come off, just kind of things in general. I'm kind of in a bit of a plateau right now. Which I'm actually quite content with, to be honest. I kind of feel like I need to just let my body settle a little bit. But I figured out, I'm spending some time figuring out how to maintain too. Yeah. Because at some point I have to maintain. It's not going to be about constantly losing. You have to stop at some point. I'm not there yet, but I'm kind of in a bit of a lull right now. But maintaining. If I go up a little bit, I bring it back off, but I know what I need to do. I know when I've reintroduced something that shouldn't be there and I try to get it back out. Or if I'm being honest, sometimes I really just don't care. And I just want to eat, and I think I've started thinking about, why do you eat what you eat when you eat it? When I'm doing, when I'm eating things that I really know just aren't the best fuel for me. Doesn't mean I stop it though. I can't, I think, but I give myself a break on that. And I try to remember that it's just one snippet in time over a longer period of time. And I need to just get back on the horse. I just can't let that one instance or, that bit of time define everything for me. I have to get back on it and fix it and keep on keeping on. So that's what I'm learning to do. I get frustrated with myself, but.
Now, I mean, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but I think it would be good because other people might have had the same situation. Was there any point in your life where your weight stopped you from doing something you wanted to do, or there was an embarrassing situation or something like that? anything that you'd like to share?
I wouldn't say necessarily embarrassing situation, but there are lots of instances where weight has kept me from doing what I want to do. I love to travel, and because I'm an educator and I have vacations frequently, I know I'm off at Christmas. I know I'm off at Easter. I know that I'm going to have some time in the summer, and I love to travel. I do. I have friends that I go see, but if I'm being really honest, everything that I did was always, I had to be able to drive to it, because going on a plane was not going to be a comfortable experience for myself or the people that would be around me. So
Sure.
I didn't do it. And so anytime I went someplace, I got in the car and drove. I had friends that live in Eastern Canada. I drove 16 hours to go visit with them. I would drive, from Ohio to Brunswick, Canada. And I have friends that are over, at one point in Boston. I have friends in Maine. I was driving to see friends in Georgia. So I've covered, like the eastern side of the United States, traveling, but it's always been, I have to drive to get there, because being on a plane is just not a comfortable thing to do. When I was that overweight, getting on a plane just wasn't going to happen. And I had done it many years ago, and I didn't like it. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, you're going to be stuck on in this place, and you're sitting next to somebody who doesn't know you, and I'm intruding on them and
Sure.
their comfort during, this, hour, 2 hour, plane ride. And it just didn't seem fair to other people, for sure, that had to sit by me. And so I just didn't do it. I drove everywhere.
Have you been on a plane yet?
I have, yes. I had to fly to North Carolina for work twice this fall. I went in, I believe it was end of October, and I went again at the beginning of December. And so I have done those flights, and they went very well. It was, and honestly, it was even navigating airports, because you're walking forever and you're having to go from place to place, and you're dragging your stuff behind you, and you're, doing all that stuff. And then you're sitting around in an airport waiting for your flight to even happen. And, going back to how I felt just with everything hurting all the time, just sitting around in the airport for all that time would have been the kiss of death for me. So, it's just all of those things just kind of roll together into like the perfect storm of why you don't do it. But then I did it. I did the first trip to North Carolina. And then when it was time for the second one, it was like, no big deal. Okay, let's go. And, I had no weight loss goal when I started this, because like I said, it was about feeling better. But then I finally did establish a goal at the urging of friends from work. And they said, you really should make a goal and then reward yourself when you achieve that goal. And so I was a few months into it, doing this, and I thought, oh gosh, I don't even know what to pick. And then I picked a weight that I really did feel was not achievable, but I thought, well, okay, I'll pick that. And then if by some chance, by some miracle, I make it to that, then I will reward myself by doing what I've wanted to do for decades, truly. And I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. It's been a big thing for me. I've always wanted to do it, and just literally have never done it. And so I said, the day that I know that I've made that goal is the day that I'll schedule the trip. And so I'm still working, and now we can't go anywhere anyhow. So,
What, do you mind sharing the goal?
199.9 pounds is what I will weigh when I can schedule my trip. I want to if I can get below 200, for me, that's epic. That's just not something that has been, I couldn't remember the last time I was there. So, to be in a 100, yeah, okay.
Sure.
So, and I figured, even to reach that point, there's still more work to be done on myself, even at that point. But I just feel like that's a huge, huge huge achievement.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the goal, is to get there, and then we'll see.
That's amazing.
We'll see where we, yeah, well, we'll see. Well, I want to do it. We'll see.
I want to see all the pictures. I want to see all the pictures. What was the hardest part about the program?
I think it was just in the beginning, getting a schedule, a routine. Mm-hmm. I'm one of those people that I have to have routine. Like I'm very mm-hmm. set in that. And so once I can figure out routine, then I'm good. So it was, what does grocery shopping look like? What's the frequency with which I have to do it? What's my food prep look like? Because mm-hmm. I have to do that. And so once I established routine for myself, it was a lot easier. I knew that on Sunday, that was going to be my food prep day for the week. Because mm-hmm. I don't know work-wise, I don't know whether I'm going to have a late night for work, whether I'm going to have to be up early, get home late, whether I'm going to travel, because I, will travel for work. And so it's prepping for all of those things. And once I had a schedule for that, I felt better. So I know that Sunday is the food prep day. I know what's going to happen on Sunday. I'm very predictable. I know what I'm doing on Sunday. I know what that looks like for me. I know I have to go to the grocery store. I pretty much in my mind know what I need to buy. I know how I'm planning things out. I'm prepping stuff so that I don't have to worry about it. I grab my stuff in the morning and I go and I eat breakfast in the car. Mm-hmm. And I've packed my lunch, but I've done all of that the night before. So I'm not worrying about doing it in the morning. And I remember when we first sat down to talk about this, you had said it was all about planning and preparation. And at the time, like I said, I felt defeated even in that, because I just didn't know. I was thinking, I just don't know that I can commit to that level of preparation. Mm-hmm. But now it's just habit. I do what I have to. I do what I need to do. So I think that more than anything was probably the most difficult. Mm-hmm. Was just that part.
Once you had everything prepared, would you consider it easy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's good to know, because people want to hear something that, that's a very obtainable and very easy to do. But yeah, you're right though. It is all about preparation. Yep. Mm-hmm. If you can, it's life in general.
I didn't feel hungry. I didn't feel like I was starving. I didn't feel, like I felt like what I was taking in was sufficient for me. I didn't feel like I was needing to snack in between. I didn't feel like, I had none of that going on, but I was laser-like in focus too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I was unwilling to bend from it. I guess it almost became a non-negotiable for me. Like, this is how you're going to conduct your life, and this is what it's going to be. And no, you cannot reintroduce any of those things. And people would say, oh my gosh, that's really, it's kind of prescriptive. Like, that's tough. How are you going to, can you do that long term? And for me, I just kept thinking, I had to do this, I just had to make a change, and this was working for me. So it made it easier to just maintain that, but it requires that you say no a lot. I mean, I say no a lot. I don't, yeah, I mean, I do. I get together with friends and we, groups of meet at someone's home, and everybody brings food, and you sit around and you do what you do, and you visit. And I bring the vegetables. I'm the one that brings the vegetables now. And oh, Liesl, do you want have some pizza? Nope, I'm good. And people don't understand what they do to me. I'm just gonna call that what it is. They don't realize what they do to me, which is forcing me to repeatedly say no to somebody. And it's always done from a place of just trying to be kind, but at the same time, I will equate this to someone who is an alcoholic. And if you were to have a group gathering and offer someone who's an alcoholic a beer, and they say, no, I'm an alcoholic, you wouldn't say, okay, well, instead of offering you a beer, let me give you a shot of whiskey instead. But people do that with me all the time with food. So, oh, you can't have that pizza. Do you want some chicken wings? No, I'm good without those as well. Oh, well, can I give you this? I mean, and I literally could count, on two hands the number of times in just a group setting with people that I will have to say no. And I should only really have to say it one time, and that should be the end of the conversation. Like, I know what I can take in. I know what works for me. I know it's appropriate for me. I'll get whatever it is I need. But don't repeatedly make me say no, because that becomes hard, and then you don't want to isolate yourself from being with friends, because being with friends is a social, your social activity is always around food, like it or not. I mean, for the most part, when you have gatherings of people, food's involved. You meet at a restaurant to get together with people, your friends, you go out for breakfast. And so that's, I think, I guess that would be another hard part aside from, getting a schedule, is just learning to navigate being social and how you eat.
That brings us to a point I wanted to talk about, just the whole discipline and self-deprivation. So please explain to me how you went about doing that. Maybe if you can remember a story of like, well, this might be a breaking point, but you just kind of put you refocus and say no. You know what I mean? Maybe it was somebody's birthday, or just, if there was a time where you wanted to throw in the towel, or wanted something real bad, but you just, you stuck to your guns. I want to hear about that.
Well, that would happen that could be, any number of times, even in a work setting. People bring in, somebody's birthday. You have a staff meeting, somebody's birthday, there's a cake. I love birthday cake. I'm just going to call it. I love birthday cake. And so there's the cake. There it is. And I could have cake, sure. But I also know that how I'll feel when I wake up the next morning, because I've put that back in, it's not worth it enough necessarily for me. I will say on my birthday, I had cake and it was really good. And but then I needed to move on from that. And now it's, I don't need cake again until my next birthday. And so I've never really felt that I've been deprived of anything. Now, there are things that I like, and that, do I miss them? Yes. There are some things that I feel like I could have sparingly, but I think that's the word. And I think that that's the hard part, is establishing what sparingly looks like, and figuring out that, yeah, it's okay to have it, but am I, just me, myself, am I able to just have it that one time and then walk away from it again and say that's just something special? I think there are certain foods that, for me, opening the door to it again is like a Pandora's box. Like, I have no business going there, because I don't know, even now, I don't know that I would have a control enough to not revert back to eating inappropriately and making bad choices with it again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at some point, I may be able to do that, but right now I'm just not there. So I know that there are some things that I just literally have to stay away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what it is for now.
Yeah. So outside of losing weight and getting healthy, how would you say the program has changed your life, or just outlook of life, or, you know what I mean? Because, some people eat to, or live to eat, you know what I mean, as opposed to eating to live. Yeah. You know what I mean? So just that sort of, I guess I want you to touch on maybe just the educational aspect that you got from the program.
I guess for me, I'm going to come back to, a relationship with food. No, I shouldn't have a relationship with food. Food needs to be what I do, what I take in to keep my body running well. And what I can't do with it is when I'm upset, use that as the reason why I, eat all these chips and, shove stuff in that really and literally while I'm doing it, saying to myself, you're not even hungry. So why are you doing this? And I have found myself, honestly, I found myself doing that over the last 4 weeks that I've been here at my house. Well, it's been 4 weeks I've been here in my house. And so, but even now, like in my mind, I'm taking in too much, but the things that I'm finding myself gorging on have changed. So I'm not shoving pizza in and buying bags of chips and all of those things. And, I mentioned to you the other day, like I'm eating almonds and dried cherries. Like literally, those are the things that I'm overeating on. And is it overeating on them? Yeah, because I'm finding myself snacking at times that I normally wouldn't eat. And I come to like that realization all of a sudden in the middle of it, that I'm not even hungry. So why am I eating? But because I'm more limited in, being able to associate with people, just being around folks and moving in other places outside of my home, that has been a challenge. So, I think my goal for all of this time of isolation that we're all living in is, if I can walk out of my house on the last day, and they tell us that we're free to move about as we'd like to. If I'm on or around the same place that I was when I walked in the door and they told me I had to stay home, then I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Because I have that recognition that there are those times I've eaten too many of those things, and I know that I'm going up in weight a little bit, but I adjust the next day, and then I'm changing what I'm putting in the following days, or I walk. Like I may have. And that's the other thing that I'm finding. The days that I eat, like I'm just mindless eating, are often the days that I didn't walk any place that day. Like it was bad weather outside and I wasn't able to get out and walk. The days that I can walk, I usually don't. I really don't find myself trying to do any of that snacking thing or looking for something else because I was out, like fresh air, moving around, and so I don't tend to do it. So, I mean, it's cold out today, and I've been looking out, the sun is out there and I've been thinking, gosh, I might need to bundle up and take a walk because I don't want to, I don't want to snack.
So if people were sitting around and doing a lot of boredom eating, what would your advice to them be?
Find something else to do besides that, and I found I've seen some cute stuff just online, that people have been doing just to try to keep themselves in order. Cause like, that's the big conversation any place, you go on Facebook and everyone's talking about, like, okay, step away from the refrigerator, because that's a reality. And I'm ready to put a sign inside my pantry door or inside the refrigerator and say, you're not hungry, you're bored, like find something else to do. I've cleaned out closets. I like just find something else when I start thinking about now. It's fine for me to sit here and have that conversation. Like that makes sense, but there are still those times where I'm still snacking mindlessly and I have to see it and then figure out what to do to stop it, or how do I adjust so that it doesn't so negatively impact me. But the things that I'm finding myself over snacking on are way better for me in the long run than things that I normally would have done. And they don't impact me from a perspective of making my joints start to hurt again. So I stay away from those things. So that's why I'm not doing, like pizzas and things that are bread-like or anything like that, because when those hit my body, I will wake up the next day feeling like I've been beaten. So it's not worth it for me to have those. So if I'm overdoing on something, it's in a healthier way, I guess, than it would have been in the past.
So now that you're walking, before you started the program, how far could you walk, or would you get winded? Or, I mean, I know you talked about pain, but, you know, like literally how far would you avoid trying to walk, or, you know, just touch on that a little bit.
Well, I was dealing with an interesting situation with that, because I always really did like to walk. I liked to try to walk. But I was dealing with plantar fasciitis in my foot. And so that was prohibiting me from being able to walk. So even if I guess I don't have a real good answer, because I don't know, I wasn't walking a lot because my foot hurt. And I had an orthotic, orthotics that I was wearing in my shoes, and, all of that type of thing. I had been fighting with that for a couple years. And that foot hurt. It hurt really bad. And so I really wasn't walking. But I would say, while I would walk, it wasn't very fast for sure. And, I was very easily winded. You can't weigh what I weighed and think you're going to move about and not become winded easily. So it was just kind of, and then that becomes, that becomes a snowball of its own making, like you just don't, so you don't walk. And what you need to do is walk, but you don't, because you feel horrible. And then you just put more on, and then you feel even worse. And, it's just everything, it becomes the perfect storm. And so it's,
so then how much are you walking now? And what's your walking like?
So my walking, I get my phone and I put my earbuds in and attach it to my cell phone, and I listen to music, and I walk where I live. And I have a Fitbit that I wear, and it keeps track. So that also is a good reminder that it's time to move, because I have it set to kind of give me notifications. And so I walk at a pretty decent clip for me now, I would say. And I try to do a walk twice a day. If I have super good weather, I'm even compelled to do another one. I try to walk around 10 o'clock, around 2 o'clock. And then in the evening, if it's really nice out, I oftentimes will, it like draws me back outside, and I want to go do another walk in the evening. But that just really depends. But I would say when I add it up over the week, I'm doing about 20 miles a week.
Okay, that's excellent. And then what about when did you still have your plantar fasciitis, or did that calm down and go away?
Yes. So that has been much, 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 much better. I'm not even using my my orthotics in my shoes anymore. I'm wearing just my regular tennis shoes now when I go do my walks. And so, yeah, I really don't have any issues with that going on right now. It might have a little bit of an ache in there where, it can feel a little, tender every now and again. But yeah, I really don't have. So, I mean, I'm doing 20 plus miles a week walking in a tennis shoe with no orthotic now.
What do you think made that improve?
Oh, I think a number of things. One being just getting weight off the foot. The more you take off of it, the less, pressure there is put on it. And then I think I would equate a lot of it to getting the inflammation out of my system with the change in my diet. Discovering through blood work that, my vitamin D was so low, and working to bolster that part of it and get that under control. And then just that change, what it is that I was putting in, getting that inflammation out. I think that's just made a huge difference. Now, I'm not saying I feel perfect all the time, because I sure don't, but I feel so much better. I mean, even sleeping is easier. I got to be honest. I sleep better. Because I hurt. When you hurt and you're trying to sleep, you stay in one spot, laying in one spot for too long, and then everything hurts, and you have to roll over. Oh my gosh. Okay. Everything hurts to roll over. And, like everything feels like it just takes so much effort. And the place where you're supposed to be able to rest, when it takes effort, it's just, it's just tough all the way around.
Right. Well, and then so talk about your energy levels from then compared to now, and then also like brain fog, mental acuity, anything, like if you've noticed any improvements at all in that.
I would say as far as brain fog, that's been huge for me because just backstory, I had a hysterectomy, a full hysterectomy in 2013. And so I was dealing with all of the after effects of that, like the onset of, menopause, boom, here it is, medically induced because of the surgery. And I didn't feel like myself, from that. And then you have this, this other stuff going on. And I never felt clear-headed. I always kind of felt like I was in this bit of a fog, and I was tired. Oh my goodness gracious, I was tired. And, I drive about 35 miles to get to work every day and then to get home. And I would drive home from work and just say to myself, like, you need to stay awake. I was ready to fall asleep just driving in my car on the highway. And it was overwhelming, like everything I could do to stay awake to drive home. And then I would get home and it was just like I'd sit down and I could just fall asleep. I was exhausted all the time. And then brain fog on top of it. And much improved now. I mean, I feel like I feel much more clear, much more alert. I feel like I'm part of the world, not just residing on it. I don't know. I feel like I'm just more engaged. When I have conversations with people, I feel like I'm more present in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to be too, like before I felt like, like goals in life were to get to work, do a really good job at doing your job, and then get home. Like that was it. Get to work and get home. But I even struggle with reaching out to people to just have conversation, calling friends or, engaging with people. But I was so dissatisfied with myself, like just unhappy with myself, that I had a hard time engaging with other people. So this is, like I've opened myself up to just having, more conversation. Like I call people, I schedule things with people and actually like go do it. You schedule it and you go, like who knew? And so all of those things are really have changed for me. That willingness to be more engaged with other people. Where I live not far from Saybrook Township Park, and every summer they have songs on the shore. And so every Wednesday night, I think it is, they have a different band that's there, a different genre of music or whatever. And I walk over. I walk over to the park and, join friends that live, near me. And, we walk over. Now, here is where, one of those changes is very evident because they have really good burgers, apparently, over at Saybrook Township Park in their little pavilion area. And so the people that I go with, they always order a burger, and fries or whatever it is they're going to have. And we sit and we listen to the music and we visit with one another and get caught up with, what's going on over the week with one another. And I have my water, and that's what I take. And I drink my water, but I sit and I visit. And I've discovered that social interaction doesn't have to be about the food that you consume. It's about the people that you're there to be with. And so that's kind of a, that part of it has been big too. I mean, I even went out with friends one night for dinner. This was one of those, I deserved a medal for this particular evening. We had decided to go. And I told them, and it was a pizza thing. And I said, but you know what? They have really great salads there. And so, and they were aware, and oh, are you sure? No, it's fine. I love their salad. I'll get the salad. I'm good. And then we got there and we went to order, and the somebody before me with our group went to order a salad, and the waitress said, oh yeah, we don't have salad today. How do you not have salad? What do you mean you don't have salad? Salad? come on, and so I didn't eat. I sat and I visited with my friends, and I literally like watched them eat their pizza and stromboli and, all that. And I sat and visited with them and enjoyed it. It was somebody's birthday, the whole bit. And then I said, all right, well, you guys, I got to head out because I need to go eat dinner, and so it was time for me to go. But I didn't eat that night. Not with them anyhow. I came home and I had my meal at home. Now, could I have said, you will just have a slice of pizza? Yeah, I could have. I could have done that. I could have. But I also know that I know me. And I don't know that that would have stopped there. So kind of like that, you take one drink or do you drink the whole bottle? And I just know me. And I know that, that just, I had no business going there. So I just didn't eat. And I came
That's a great story, actually. So it sounded like life was kind of a struggle.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, just like, would you get tired after meals and stuff like that? Sometimes you eat and like you can barely make it through the afternoon because you're tired.
I was just tired. I woke up tired. I was tired all day. I went to sleep tired. I really didn't know what it was like to not feel tired. I was exhausted all the time. I mean, I was just tired. And that wears on you too. And then, like I said, that you need to do something, change something so that you can get rid of that. But it feels like too much effort, like I don't, and here's the deal. You don't even know where to start. That's the other problem is, like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do to tackle that. Where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I eat? What do I do? And even in this process, like I'm at the point now where I'm saying I need more exercise than I'm getting. But I have to figure that out now, because I don't, and for me in this process, walking has been the thing that really has helped me because it's like you just start walking and that's good to start getting things, to get moving again and all of that. But then, you reach that point where you need to do more than that. But now I have to figure out what is that, like what's that look like? How do I make that happen? And I just don't know. And this is going to be a lifetime journey. This isn't like just a small snippet in time where it's like, oh, look, problem fixed. And then you move on and you go back and reestablish old habits and everything else. I mean, like, this is a journey. This is like a lifetime commitment to myself and figuring it out and doing all of those things. And I know I need to do more, but honestly, I couldn't do more when I started this journey. I couldn't do more than I was doing. Where I am now, I can do so much more just because I've lost a person.
Right. Yeah, it's as simple as that.
I've lost a person. It's literally like somebody who's, I've been carrying around on my back, and they're not there now. And so it's I have that willingness to, to want to do more physically. It's still a challenge, it's still very easy for me to say, I don't want to, and this morning I was being lazy because it's a vacation day for me. I'm not working today. And I woke up this morning, I was up early, but I'm like, I just don't want to do anything. So what did I do? Blanket, and I'm on the couch. Well, that lasted until like 11 o'clock. And then I said, oh my gosh, I cannot. I can't do this. I can't do this. Okay, like do some laundry, clean the bathroom, do some, and so there's more of a willingness to do things because I just don't have the willingness to really sit without end the way I was before.
No, I know you're a social butterfly.
Yes.
But prior to this, was there any aspect where you didn't want to socialize or, because of the situation?
I would say only if it was around something that they may be doing that would have physically I would have been prohibited from doing. So, you know, most of the time we were meeting at a restaurant or going out. But, you know, I have friends who like to go kayaking, or some of my friends, they would say, oh, let's like take the bikes out and we'll go on the Greenway Trail and take a bike ride. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'll see you guys the next time we're getting together for a meal. I'm all about it. I can do that. Or if we're going to somebody's house and we're just sitting around, I can do that too. At that time, yeah, there would be things that I wouldn't do. And even now, there are things that I still probably wouldn't. And it's only because I haven't, you know, and so it's reintroducing myself to physical activity and ensuring that I can do it, and knowing that proving to myself that, yeah, I can. And just getting on it and doing it. Like I said, wanting a bike, you know, like I keep saying, if only BJ Baker's was open and I could go get a bike, you know, and I could try that again.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm willing to. Before I wasn't. Before it was like, forget it. I don't even want to think about it. I'm not going to do that because I can't.
When was the last time you rode a bike? When was the last time you rode a bike?
Oh, well, I got my driver's license at 16, so I'm going to say I was 16 last time I rode a bike.
Oh, I want to see pictures of that. I want to see you riding around. You're
right
there. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We'll see. But you know, but here's the deal. A year and a half ago, it's not something that I would have even thought about. I've been like, yeah, right? No, I don't think so. But now I'm like literally saying, oh, that would be kind of cool. I would like to, because I'm willing to consider it again.
So, if someone came to you and said, what do I need to do what you did? What would you say to them?
Oh boy. I would say you have to have in your mind the reason that you want to do it. And you have to own it. It's one thing to say that I want to lose weight. It's another thing to say I need to feel better. Weight loss is not a motivator for me. It never has been, or I wouldn't have gotten to the point that I was.
That makes sense.
And it's always been that thing that I've struggled with. And so you avoid it. Like, who weighs themselves? I'm not doing that. Come on. And so, but I had a reason it wasn't about that. It was about, I had to feel better. Because I had those times where I'm sitting here in my house and I'm eating garbage that I shouldn't be eating, and I'm frustrated with myself because I can't stop that for whatever reason. Like, I can't stop it. I just keep doing it. And I'm having the conversation with myself saying, you got to stop doing this. You're going to keep putting weight on. And this weight is going to kill you. Like, this is going to kill you. And I literally would in my head say, well, I guess that's just what it's going to be then. Like, I was willing to let it kill, like, because I just felt like I had no control of it. And I don't know why it worked now. Aside from, it was like a switch, and I was ready. I was at the place that it made sense for me. I was finally at that place where I was so dissatisfied that I said, get on it. And I did, and it worked. But I was also lucky that I had friends who were on a weight loss journey themselves. And we supported one another. And I think that is key, that you have a support system in place, because you can't do it by yourself. You cannot do it by yourself. You have to have other people that you're checking in with. And even if it's to say, I totally screwed up, like, I did not do well, and now I need to admit that to somebody else. And it's okay to say that. It doesn't mean that it's a permanent problem. it was like a blip in the road. I historically looked at it though as, because I'm an all or nothing kind of person. And so I looked at it as, okay, well, you screwed up. And so you just screwed the whole thing up. So just like go back and revert to the old habits and just, because you messed up. And I think that that's important is that ensure that you have people that support you in it. And I have a saying that I put on my refrigerator door, and I look at it every time I open the fridge, and it's helped me. It helps me. But it said, never give up on a dream just because of the time it will take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. Wow. And I figure, and if I really listen to that, if I really pay attention to that message, it makes sense. Like I can continue to make those bad decisions, and I continue to, do all of those things. And the time is going to pass anyhow, one way or another, it's going to pass. So when that time is passed, what do I look like on the end of that? How do I feel on the end of that? And for me, it was, I needed to just feel better. And so, but know why you're doing it. You can't do it for other people, you have to do it for you. You have to do it because, you want something different, better for you. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do it for anybody else. I mean, like if you can't do it for you, who are you going to do it for? It has to be like, I got to own that, and it's work, but it didn't feel like it. So I don't know, because people would say to me, "Oh my gosh, I know you've been working so hard," and I don't know. While I was in it, it didn't feel like I really was. And I don't know if everybody could say that. I don't know if it would be easy for everybody. I don't know. But for me, where I was, it didn't feel like horrible work. It was just, okay, this is what you're going to do. And I did it. And it was worth it for sure. And now, but now I'm in that place where it's like, okay, now what's the next phase look like? Like, I don't know if we do this a year from now, what's that look like? The time will pass anyway. So what's it going to look like on the other side of it? So, I don't know. I guess we'll see what the next year brings.
So if you're at a grocery store and you see somebody that has 2 24-packs of soda and they have a bunch of frozen pizzas and bags of chips and everything in there, and you see them limping around, you can tell that they're in pain. What would you say to that person?
Well, I guess for me, there's not a lot I can say to that person, because if I were that person, what do I want to hear from somebody that I don't know about that? And if you're who I was, I don't want to hear a darn thing. I don't want to hear about it. I already know what I know what this is. I know what this feels like. I know how bad. I don't need anybody to tell me that I feel horrible, and that if I would just change my diet, I would feel so much better. I have a blockade up when it comes to that. Like, I don't need somebody to tell me that. I know, I live it. The best that I could do for somebody is say, if you decide that, you are ready to make a change, I'll support you in that change. I'll be your biggest cheerleader, but I can't tell anybody that they have to do anything. That's a personal decision that people truly have to make. They have to come to.
I guess, what if they were looking for something? I guess it's kind of like that. Remember how you said, like, you knew you had to do something, but just didn't know what to do or how to start. So what if it's a situation, but they needed help and they were actually looking for something?
If they were looking for it, I mean, this is definitely something that I would and have told people that is a very good avenue to consider, simply because I've never felt that anything has been missing. I'm not worried about, I've changed my diet and have removed things that are going to negatively impact me moving forward. I know that the supplement that I take, my greens, a year in, I'm trying. I do my greens. I don't feel that anything's missing. I know that everything that I need to have is there. So I'm not worried that I'm doing damage to myself in, in the sake of trying to do weight loss. So that part I would encourage anybody, because I just think that it is something that is very doable. But you have to wrap your mind, you have to be in the right mind space. But it's something that, like, and I've told people, people will ask me, what did you do? Like, oh my gosh, you look so different, and I was very quiet about what I didn't, like, social media is what it is, blah, blah, blah. And I really hadn't said anything about it, but every now and again, a picture, would happen or something, and something would, end up on Facebook or whatever. But on my 1 year, anniversary of having started this, I actually had my picture taken and I put it on my Facebook, and I said, like, a year in, like, kind of, this is me today, 170 pounds difference. And, I had people ask me, what did you do? And I told them, I said, I did Natural Fit, and, I worked with Dr. Davis, and I was, doing, going down to Jefferson and having those consultations and holding myself accountable and making those lifestyle changes. And it worked for me. It worked. And I expect that it will continue to work, but I have to put in the work to make sure that that happens. It feels like, I'll be honest, it feels more like work now than it did for the first year. The whole first year, it really didn't feel like work. It does now. And I don't know if there's something about that year. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But I feel like I'm more aware of having to make choices that are better. Before, it didn't really feel like it. It was just kind of, this is just what you do. Now it feels more like I have to really think and choose. And I think I let the door open for a few things, and now it's like closing the door up again is a little difficult. But at the same time, I know what to do. I know how to eat. I know how to cook for myself. I know that a rotisserie chicken works wonders in my life. And you can pick those up any place, and they're simple, and it doesn't require a lot if you have a busy lifestyle and you don't want to commit to a lot of cooking and those types of things. You learn how to adjust accordingly.
Now, did you like eating veggies and stuff like that, or were you kind of a picky eater? Did you have trouble with the food selection?
Well, I will say I loved vegetables, but the vegetables that I loved weren't necessarily the vegetables that were the better vegetables. So, I was more of a corn, and I love lima beans, and so potatoes. There are still things that are in there, that vegetables that I haven't eaten and I have no plan on ever eating. And that's okay, because I found that comfortable place for me. I found those things that I really do like. I love salads. I do. I love my salads, and I eat tomatoes and lettuce and peppers and cucumbers and all those things. I had a salad for lunch, and I don't think anything about it. That's just what I do. I think the biggest thing for me was figuring out what it was that goes on the salad. Because everybody thinks they're doing such a great job for themselves when they make that salad, and you are, and then you dump half a bottle of dressing on it, and you just undone all the goodness of that salad. And so I figured out some differing things to do with regard to that, and that made life a lot easier for me, and I could enjoy it even more. So it works.
Good. I know you did a lot of traveling. Was it difficult to do while you were traveling?
Yeah. I packed a lot of my food when I would go. I had to get real picky. I allowed myself some leeway, but I had to be careful in how I ordered when I would go out to eat when I was gone. But a lot of times when I would be gone, for work, I would go down to Columbus and I'd be there for almost a week and staying in a hotel. And fortunately, the hotel that I stayed in had a refrigerator. So I packed my breakfast, I packed my lunch for all those days, breakfast and lunch. So, like my fruits, my vegetables, rotisserie chicken, I packed all those things, so blah, 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 stick them in the refrigerator. And then I would go out for dinner.
What would you get when you'd go out? What would you order typically outside of even just a salad or whatever?
I would get some type of chicken, usually, never breaded. And I'll be honest, I'll eat chicken wings even because I love them. And, and so I would have chicken wings in a salad, or, I would have like broccoli with my meal, or order some salmon because I love that as well. I could have a steak. It wasn't about what, it was about how much of it did I consume, and stayed away from things that were like breaded and, those types of things. It's just kind of a change in your mindset about what is it that you order. I'm not ordering pasta. I'm not getting, eating bread and all those things, like, because those are just so heavy. And when I've talked to people about doing this program and I say I don't eat bread, they look like, oh my gosh, I couldn't live without bread. It's been okay for me. I haven't had a problem with that. I don't miss bread. So, but it was never huge. I ate bread because, you had a sandwich or, with your hamburger or whatever. So not having that has not been a problem for me. But it's just, how is it that you order? What is it that you order? And not being afraid of just saying to the person taking your order, can I have that minus this or this or this? Or can I have the dressing on the side? Or, for me, because, like I said, dressings are so incredibly high in fat that you don't want. I'm the queen of Red Hot. And so if they can give me a bottle of Red Hot and I have that, that's the best salad dressing in the world for me. So I can make that work too. So there are so many options. It's just thinking about them.
Were you ever really hungry at all at any point in time during the program?
No, I really haven't been. Like I said, it was kind of something happened like that whole year when I hit that year. I've been hungry lately. But during that first year of this, no, I really wasn't. There were times where it was just kind of like, oh, I ate because it was time to eat, not necessarily because I was hungry. I would say, okay, well, I guess it's dinner time. I guess I'll eat, But,
and then take me through your typical day now, kind of on your new regimen and, your new lifestyle compared to what you used to do or how it used to be.
So food-wise, before, breakfast would be like, I don't know, a bagel with cream cheese and a banana. That's what I was known for. Bagel and cream cheese and a banana. That's what I would eat in the car on my way to work. And then lunchtime would be, like a sandwich that I packed and like usually a little bag of chips or something. And then dinner was honestly whatever drive-through I went through. It was because, again, I was tired all the time and coming home and cooking was not a priority for me. So it's easier to go through a drive-through. So am I going to McDonald's? Am I going to Burger King? What about Chinese? Chinese sounds good tonight. Or how about pizza? And so you end up getting stuff like that. And cooking really wasn't something that I did a lot of. And I like to cook, but I was tired. And so I didn't. Now, what's a food day look like for me now? I have, usually for breakfast, I have egg whites and turkey sausage And I make my own turkey sausage because I get ground turkey, and I found a seasoning that I buy on Amazon. And so I make my own turkey sausage, and I just have it in the fridge. I make my eggs on Sunday. I make my turkey sausage on Sunday. So all I have to do is really get it out, and I weigh it real quick so I know how much I have, and then move on. But I'm a creature of habit. So that's like almost every day, egg whites and turkey sausage, and then some type of fruit. I don't know. I'll have strawberries. I'll have raspberries. I can have, I'll have a mandarin orange. I'll have an apple, whatever. Or other days, I buy frozen cherries, and I'll thaw those, and I'll put some Greek yogurt, stir that into that, and that's what I'll have for breakfast. So this depends. And then lunchtime is usually a salad with some chicken. Usually, although, all right, so I will say lately I've been really super duper lazy, and I don't know what it's about, but I've been eating a lot of, for lunch, I'll have some cauliflower and chicken with red hot, because I'm for red hot on everything, and then some type of fruit. So that ends up being lunch, and then dinner, could be anything, but I always make it. So I could, I want hamburgers. I love hamburgers. So I always get, lean ground beef and make my own burgers at home. And then instead of a bun, I use a big leaf of lettuce, and I cut my burger up into that, and, onions and mustard. I make my own ketchup. So I put that in there because it's sugar free, and I use stevia in it so I can have that, and just roll it up. And it's like a burrito, a burger burrito, but it's a lettuce wrap, and super tasty. I'll have something like that. That would be like a day, kind of a day in the life, or just some broccoli. A bag of frozen broccoli is an amazing thing. Throw the whole bag in the microwave, and eat it, and life is easy. So there are those things that you can do that are very simple. Do you have to make? I make my own salad dressings, different types, so I can have some variety. So I do that. But that's pretty much, you make it, I make it, but again, it's that food preppy thing. So like, you do it, and then I can eat off stuff all week. I'm just heating and eating through the week for the most part. Every now and again, like I'll come home and I'll cook something for dinner some night, but I'm a single person in this house. And so when I cook something, I end up with leftovers. I always have leftovers. And so I'm able to eat on it, for a while, and it's simple.
Well, being a single person too, it would probably make it difficult as far as because, we're in the nation of you don't throw food away. So it's like, you get a pizza, and you're like, you're going to be eating pizza every day for the next 3 days, or, every meal for the next 2. So that, yeah, I can see that just adding up quick,
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it's hard to cook for one person. Really, it's hard to cook for one person, only because when you're getting your food at the grocery store, it's packaged larger. So you have to oftentimes bring things home and take them apart and repackage things to freeze, or, whatever. So there's always, there are adjustments that you have to make. But I don't know, you just I'm figuring it out. I'm still figuring it out, and I make things that, the internet is a wonderful thing, because you start looking for recipes and stuff that you can do. And, I found a great recipe for it's a beef and cabbage soup. I love that thing. And I just got rid of some of the stuff in it that didn't necessarily need to be there. And actually, that's on my agenda to make this weekend.
That's awesome.
Cabbage at the grocery store. So, but you can freeze meat, and you can pull stuff out and do whatever you want to do when you need to do it. Shrimp cocktail was for dinner last night, and made my own cocktail sauce, because of course my ketchup, and then horseradish, and I was good to go. So,
what did you other than the beef and cabbage soup, did you have any other meals that you really enjoyed, or that has become a staple, outside the rotisserie chicken? Is there something?
because, I think for me, a lot of times it's just like kind of that, I'll make a meatloaf, I'll make hamburgers, I'll make a steak, it's just the other things that go along with it. Always the vegetable. Do I have green beans? Do I have broccoli? Do I have some cauliflower? Do I have a salad? Do I have, made a cucumber salad the other day that was really super tasty. And, sometimes you want sweet, you don't want tangy. And so you change what you put on it. It's just.
Keeps the variety.
Yeah. I think that's what it is more than anything. It's just doing it a little differently. Like when I make a meatloaf, I just don't put any bread of any kind in it. I'll put an egg in it. Mm-hmm. I put my ketchup in it. I put onions in it, mix it all up and bake it, but I just don't have the breadcrumbs in it. And so it's just those adjustments, little adjustments. But I can.
Tell me a little bit about the dressings that you make in your ketchup, because I know that's a big hit.
Oh, I love my ketchup. So dressings, one of the things I do is I use the dry Italian dressings, but when I make them, I follow the recipe, but when it calls for oil, I just use water. And then the vinegar, it's just the apple cider vinegar. So it's vinegar, water, and then the dry packet. Shake it up, keep it in the fridge. It's wonderful. Like I wouldn't notice the difference. And actually, I this past summer we were having I was going to a friend's for a 4th of July picnic, and I took a tomato salad with just cut up tomatoes, onions, whatever else I threw in there, and I used that. Oh my gosh, everybody went on and on about this tomato salad. I mean, oh, so good. I'm like, it's tomatoes. And really, they were like, well, what's the dressing? I said, it's dry Italian and there's just no oil in it. I use water and I use, apple cider vinegar. That's it. So simple. But that, and then I use a recipe that I got from you that was for honey mustard dressing that is just a combination of water and apple cider vinegar, and then I mix some ground mustard and then use stevia. I buy liquid stevia, mix that up. And it's a loose dressing, obviously very watery, but it's super good because if you're cutting up chicken on a salad, it's like a honey mustard chicken. It's really super good. Mm-hmm. And then I make my own ketchup, obviously. Yes, that's very important in my world because I was missing ketchup. I really was. And you'd think I just drank it out of the bottle or something, but I really do like it. And sometimes you just want it. Like shrimp isn't the same if you don't have some kind of cocktail sauce, So I just found a recipe online. I mean, it's just really nothing more than just some tomatoes and onions and some spices, again, stevia, cook them down, and then I let them cook for quite a while. And then I hit it with the immersion blender, best thing I've ever purchased, immersion blender, and cook it down some more, and it freezes well. So I don't have to use it all at once. And so that's, again, it's that kind of thing. You start putting things in the freezer. When I make food, when I'm putting it in the refrigerator, I'm weighing things out so I know how much I'm getting. I put Post-its on the top. The Post-its on the top of my containers as I put them in the fridge, So I made hamburgers the other day. Well, I had a package of hamburgers, so it takes, you make it all. And I figured out what I was having for the meal. Well, as I was starting to put them away then into the refrigerator, I just put them into a container. I, put the container on the scale and said, okay, do I have 4 ounces of meat in this? Yes, I do. And I put a little Post-it on the top that just said 4.0 and stuck it in the fridge. And I packaged them with the thought about when am I going to eat it? Because the way I portion my food, I usually do 2 ounces of a protein at breakfast, 2 at lunch, and then 4 at dinner. I get 8 total for the day. So that tends to be how I do it. So if I'm planning to eat it for dinner, I'm going to portion for 4. If I know it's something that I'm going to eat for lunch, I portion for 2 ounces. It just depends, like where my brain goes with it, what I'm thinking I'm going to do with it moving forward. Planning, always planning.
Mm-hmm. Just actually say how much you eat per day, like broken down, if you would.
Yeah. So I have 8 total ounces of protein per day. And like I said, for me, now when I started, I was doing, I want to say I was doing 2, 3, and 3 is how when I started, I was doing 2, 3, and 3. And then kind of somewhere over time, it morphed to 2, 2, and 4 is what I'm doing right now. I mean, but you can make that as far as like, whatever works for you. You know, do you want more in the morning? Are you hungrier in the morning? Have at it. Morning's not my time. I'd rather have a bigger dinner or whatever. So, but I have that. And then I have 4 cups of my vegetables spread out across the course of the day. And then I have 2 fruits that I can have throughout the course of the day. And then I get my crackers. I love my crackers. So I have my Crunch Master crackers that I can have. And I know we've joked about this, but it says I get 6 crackers. So this is where I have that solid recognition that I have food issues, because you have that day and I get the crackers out of the container and I put them in a little Ziploc bag and I put them on the counter. I know, like, that's how many crackers I can have. But you have that day where you like put your 6 crackers in and you look at it and you're like, oh, there's one. I'll put that. And now I have 6.5 crackers. And why do I need 6.5? 6 is sufficient. Like, and then before you know it, you're like, oh, I'll just put one more. Oh, 7 crackers. I'm doing 7. Like, what is that? And I think that's the thing that I will constantly, I mean, that's my lifelong, that will be it, is like, why is it that this isn't enough? You always have to add one more, or you always have to, you know, that's it for me anyhow. Like, I know what I need to do. Mm-hmm. Now it's about doing it, you know, and committing to it long term and saying, you know what, this is right for me. This is where I want to be. This gets me to a place where I feel better. And so I will be able to maintain that. And that's the work for me now. Mm-hmm. Really, that's the work for me now. But did I hit everything? Oh, and then I have my greens every day. I drink my greens once a day. They're growing on me. I get them in. My reward for drinking my greens is that I eat my crackers immediately following. So like, I like shoot the greens and then I sit and eat my crackers and I enjoy them. Mm-hmm. So I have that, and I think, did I cover it all? I think that's my day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And then what about what have some of your friends said if they hadn't seen you in a while, or, you know, maybe like, I want to hear some of the positive feedback if you have a good story or two, or, you know, reactions for people.
Reactions have been, you know, actually quite funny. I used to work in an office in Boardman, and I now work out of Painesville, but we have state meetings that we go to occasionally down in Columbus. And I was in Columbus for a meeting, and I was sitting in a room with people from my office now, but I saw somebody from my old office came walking in, and I made eye contact with him and I said, hey, and he looked at me and gave me such a lukewarm response. And I'm thinking, well, what is wrong with you? You know, like, fine, whatever. Like, I don't know what bee's in your bonnet today. So whatever, moving on. He goes and sits down and I don't think anything about it. And I keep on keeping on. And so later in the day, it's around lunchtime, I was walking down the main thoroughfare at the convention center, and he saw me and he made a beeline for me and he said, Liesl, oh my gosh, I have to tell you, like, I didn't know that was you. And he said, and I didn't realize it until later. You know, oh my gosh, you look so great. You look so, and I guess I don't see it. Mm-hmm. Like, I see it, but I don't see it. Because I guess for me, when I look at myself, I see all the work I still need to do, not necessarily all the work that I have done. And so for me, it became important for me when I started taking pictures, mm-hmm. To kind of track what I was doing. And so I would take like pictures every couple months, but I kept the same outfits. So I had clothes that I had started, because I happen to have a picture of myself. So finding a before picture, all right, let's talk about how difficult that is, because you avoid pictures at all costs. I become the one that I'll take it because then I don't have to be in it, So finding that picture, but then I found one. And so I kept those clothes. And so I would put the same outfit on every couple months and take my picture and then put things side by side, kind of thing. And so I did that. And that has been important for me. I still don't have I don't like a scale. So scales and me, we will never spend a lot of time with one another. I'm not a weigh yourself every day kind of person, or because I don't like it. That's just an ugly space for me. But the pictures help me, because I would take a picture and I would look at it and I could see the difference wearing the same outfit over time. It was huge, to be able to look at it and say, oh my gosh, then I could see it. Because honestly, I lost 180 pounds. I will still look at myself in the mirror and not see it. Like I still won't see it. But I do see it when I have those pictures that are side by side. So that's what makes the difference for me, is that. But yeah, a lot of times I do get, people that haven't seen me for a long time. Oh my gosh, you look so great. You look so different. And, in my mind, the first thing is like, oh my God, I must have really looked bad before. And then it's like, well, you just look different. And I don't know. I don't know how I look. I see myself and, this is what it is. But, I had somebody at work one day that said to me, Liesl, you were walking down the hall like you were headed for the door. And I didn't even know it was you because it didn't look like you, just looked different. And so it's just kind of one of those.
Healthy. You look healthy is the word.
And I have heard that. I've had people say that to me, like, you really look healthy. I had somebody in my office say to me once, she said, sometimes people, when they lose weight, they don't do it in a healthy way.
Right.
And so then they don't look good. Their coloring is bad and they just don't look good. And she said, and I know you've been doing this. And she said, so I keep watching you just because I want to make sure that you look like she said, you look so healthy, like your skin is really good and your coloring is really good and you just look healthy. And
glowing.
Super, keep watching me and you let me know if I don't look right, because, like I said, that will always be the problem for me, is that difference in seeing myself and the way other people see me, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Have you needed to get a new wardrobe or anything like that?
Yeah, that's been, I've had a lot of clothes that I've had to buy. It's been significant. I've gotten rid of tons and tons and tons. And I mean, it's just this constant clothing going out. And actually clothes that I was wearing this time last year, because by this point last year, I was into this program a few months, and I had lost, quite a bit, even at that point. And I had noticed a difference but wasn't like really into getting new sizes yet. And then it was like, oh my gosh, then it started and it was just one thing after another. And, things are falling off and I'm like, I need a belt and just started getting rid of stuff. And yeah, I've had to significant. Hold on. You know what? I'm going to share my screen with you real quick because I have a picture to show you.
Okay.
This is a picture of me that was taken. This would have been, I came to see, this picture would have been taken in May and I came to see you in January. Uh-huh. So just, a difference in a few months. Let me share this. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
So
that is
one on the left, that was taken at work in May.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one with me on the right, that was taken on my 1-year anniversary.
Wow. Liesl, that's amazing. I mean, you're an amazing person anyways, but wow. That's very inspirational.
So,
Very inspirational.
And that's what I need to see, like that, like those pictures. And someone, my secretary at work, found that picture that had been taken. You know, obviously I didn't remember it having been taken, and I wouldn't have wanted to see it anyhow.
Sure.
And so, but she found it, and, you know, she shared it with me, and it's just been a couple months ago that she shared it with me. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's awesome, because now it's, you know, like that kind of full length before kind of picture that I could, you know, look at and then say, all right, so now look at yourself. Now do you see it? Yes, I do. Okay, you know, like I can keep on with it. And so that's kind of,
So
that's a before and a 1 year in.
wow. So has it helped your confidence at all? I doubt you probably lacked confidence anyway, just knowing you. But I mean, has it done anything as far as that goes? Like, you know, maybe walking with your, you know, chest out a little bit more, or, you know, just you have that, you know, mystique about you.
You know, it's funny. I was just thinking the other day when I was taking a walk that I look down when I walk. And but here's the thing, and I was trying to break myself of it. I was literally taking this walk the other day, trying to break myself of that habit. I look down all the time when I walk. I never look up at where I'm going. I always look down. And I really had to stop and think about, like, why do I do that? And I had a lot of internal dialogue with myself while I was taking that walk, you know, and it was kind of like, why do you do that? You know, what's that about? And then I came to a couple of conclusions. The first one being, I just was never comfortable with myself, and you walk looking down because then you don't make eye contact with people. That's one. And then the other one is, because of the weight that I was carrying around, I always looked down because I needed to be looking at the ground to make sure that there wasn't broken sidewalk, something that I was going to like fall in, something, you know, like, because that balance is very difficult, you know, like staying upright is, you know, like you live your life in fear of falling, like seriously, because if I fall on the ground, God help us, you know? And so, you know, like you look down, you don't look up and see, you're looking down because you're, it's like checking the lay of the land, so to speak, to make sure that, you know, you can provide for your safety when you're moving from place to place. And so, as I'm taking my twice daily walks, I am now working on breaking myself of that habit. And I just noticed it the other day. It was funny you asking that particular question. I have to break myself of that habit now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look up at the world.
Sure.
Don't spend all my time looking down.
I don't mean to pry, and you don't have to answer this at all. But has any of this changed anything romantically in your life at all, or, you know, one way or another as far as that goes?
No, it hasn't. You know, but yeah, here's the deal. As far as that's concerned, I'm one of those people that has been very happily single.
Yes, I understand.
So, and you know, may it at some point? Sure, it could. But that really hasn't been something that's been.
Sure. I didn't know if, like, you know, anyone, like if someone made a pass at you or anything, like, you know what I mean? Anything like that.
No, that hasn't been part of, you know, not. I see work people. See, that's the part, you know, like you see you have your own little, and I don't go out, you know, I'm not hanging out any place.
That's true. Yeah, that's you know, that's true. Yeah, I got you.
You know?
I got
This
you.
is kind of.
So I guess my last question would be then, I guess I want to say, like, I mean, I know you would recommend the program to somebody, but, you know, if there's somebody, if they're just, you know, if they're out there and they want to get healthy and, you know, are looking for something, you know, how we started off and just people are just kind of stuck, you know what I mean? Like, I would tell them what to do.
Tell them what to do. So I would say, you know, if you feel like you're stuck, how are you stuck and what is causing that? You know, because here's the deal. I don't care what the program is. I don't care what it is. If you're not in the right mindset, it doesn't make any difference. Like you have to have that understanding of what do you want to see happen? What do you want it to look like on the other side? What is it that's really driving you? And do you own it? You have to own it. And, and so, all right, so just as an aside, one of the things that people would say to me, well, have you ever considered having the surgery, have the surgery? Mm. And I used to say to people, you know what, this weight will kill me before I would be willing to have that surgery, because in my mind, that surgery doesn't fix the problem. The problem is not my stomach. The problem is here. And until I fix this part, it doesn't matter. You can do anything you want with this surgery. You can band it all you want, but at some point in time, if I haven't fixed where the problem is, which is my mind and what it is that I'm putting in and when I do it and why I do it and all of that, if I don't do that part, I'm going to grow my stomach out again. It doesn't matter what you've done. I can undo that by, slowly but surely rebuilding what I'm putting in, and you've undone it. And so then there you are. You went through all the pain and torture of having the surgery, and then you turned around and put it back on, and in all likelihood put on more than you had originally. And so for me, I always just said, I felt like that wasn't an option. And so when it came time to, trying to figure this whole thing out, I just think it's about figuring yourself out. Like, you got to get to know you and what you want and what you're willing to do. Like, you can say, I want to lose weight, but, it's one thing to say it. It's another to really roll up your sleeves and say, I'm going to do it. It's another thing to say, I hurt all the time and I'm tired of that. Like, I really am tired of feeling tired and I want to feel better. And then you do it and you say, okay, well, I'll commit to it for a little bit, but I don't know over, the long term whether I can really do this or not. But I try it, and then I see the difference. Like, I feel the difference. That's what makes it easier to maintain, because you see it, you feel it. And that's what was driving me. It was a feeling, like, I feel it. And so that, but it's a commitment to myself and saying, I'm finally at that place. But you know what? Everybody doesn't reach the same place at the same time with the same, I think we're just all so different. And but what's driving us? Like, figure it out. Know yourself. What do you want? And really, do you want it enough that you're willing to change what it is that you do to get it?
Got to change your whole life.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is it took me, I came to see you, I'm 49. So I was 48. When I came, it took me 48 years to get there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to suddenly change overnight. You have to commit the time. Now, that weight goes on so fast. It's so easy to put it on. It doesn't take a lot. When you make bad decisions and you're putting garbage, like, you see it, but it took me 48 years to get to that place. And I need to commit the next 48 years to, just making better choices. But it's not like, it feels like it has to be just a lifestyle. It's not just something you do to get you to this point so that you can just walk away from it then and say, okay, now I'm going to go back. Because if you go back, you're going to go back.
Right.
And to me, it's just not acceptable. I've never been in a place where I've lost, this volume of weight. But, I look at it and go, oh my God, seriously, if I think I'm putting that weight back on, somebody needs to do something to me to slap me into sanity, because it's not acceptable for me at this point to do that.
Put all that hard work.
Yeah, I have to work.
You have been putting a lot of hard work in, and I really commend you for that. And I mean, you're just, like I said, I've used the term before, but you're just definitely an inspiration to actually more people than you probably ever know. So I just, thank you for your commitment and time and just trusting us with your health. I think that's huge, so I mean, that's what we're here for. And that's what we're all about, is try to get you and everybody in your family healthy, Yeah.
Well, and I've appreciated having that place to go do it. Like I said, I know when I first met with you saying, like, I don't go to doctors, like, I just don't do it. So the fact that I was there had to be telling, that I was willing to, like, kind of walk it, like, that kind of tells you about where somebody is if they're willing to finally come in and have that conversation. But I think that there are even times where, even though you feel like you're at the end of your rope and you're like, yeah, I'll do anything. Oh, but maybe not that. Well, then you're not there. I mean, it's just kind
Or
of
not today, right? I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, and tomorrow.
Really willing to do. And, it really does have to be a change, a big change.
Yeah.
And then you have to live it.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think just that's the bottom line is, people just need to be honest with themselves, try to find out triggers of why have they gotten that way, and you know what I mean, and that sort of thing, and just addressing those as you go. And nothing, I think, is more fulfilling and gives you more power and raise you up as being able to take control of your life. And so by doing that, I mean, I think, you hit it out of the park, miss.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your help. I appreciate it very much. So
yeah,
we'll keep on keeping on.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Well, I appreciate everything that we've done here today. This was great. It worked out great. You were right with this Zoom thing. This was ideal.
Isn't it awesome? Love it.
It is awesome. It is awesome. No, this is, I was just like, boy, I'm not too computer savvy, but you're like, no, trust me. It's, you did, you made it really easy for me. So I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And then you can, let me turn this off real quick.